Okay, go ahead, Kody.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for hopping on here to kind of talk about how we can increase the health of our online courses using data. This is kind of a long title, Leveraging Course Health Analytics to Prioritize Course Enhancements that Drive Student Success. Really, the most important piece there is driving student success. Everything we do, we want it to be high impact. So my name is Kody Stimpson. I'm the Quality Assurance Assistant Director for Arizona State University, specifically ASU Online. And as we go through this, I just want to give you a little bit of background to kind of clarify the scale that we work on in ASU Online. This is our instructional design and new media team. This includes our instructional designers, some media developers, some learning technologists, and our model at ASU Online really is ongoing course enhancement. And that really means two things. It means that after the course is developed and after we've designed the course to meet at least the essential standards of quality matters, we want faculty to be able to continue to improve their courses. So we always tell them that they can continue to reach out to their instructional designer as a consultant after the initial development. But at the same time, we're always trying to teach faculty to know how to make those modifications and to train them so that they can make enhancements to their own course. So it's kind of two sides to that. We're always trying to promote this ongoing course enhancement. So ASU Online currently has a little bit over 220 fully online degree programs. And so each semester we have two different sessions of courses. Our sessions are about 7.5 weeks long. And for each of those sessions, we have over 1,500 online courses. So if you think about that number of courses, there's a few resources we have in place. And as I go through this, I hope you'll think about your particular institution. Before we just jump in and talk about the data and what we do with the data, I feel like it's really important to understand or to kind of walk through the different support resources that we have available, and then you can be thinking about those same resources that you might have, or perhaps you have additional resources that you have access to. So the first thing to begin thinking about this is asking, what are the support resources that are available at your institution? What training is available? What expectations exist? What are the design standards that are used? And then how is that information communicated to faculty? Then we'll talk about the data, what data can be available. And I say can be because often when you begin this adventure, sometimes you won't have access to some of the data that can be the most helpful for you. So we'll kind of walk through some of the data that you might be able to get access to. And then, of course, most importantly is the action here. How can we use the data to leverage those support resources that you have at your institution to help faculty continuously improve their courses? So first, we're going to walk through some of the support resources that we have available. And it's important to know what these are because, again, everything we do, it kind of leans on these resources. So you can be thinking about what you might have or what you might be able to create at your institutions. So first we have this document. It's called the ASU Online Faculty Document or Faculty Expectations Document. I love that word expectations because for us at ASU Online, we're a central service unit, which means each department actually, they do their own hiring for faculty. It's the same on-campus faculty. And we are kind of here to assist them. So using the word expectation isn't quite as strong as requiring, but it's stronger than encouraging. So the faculty expectations document, first it outlines the resources we have to assist faculty as they're teaching or developing online courses, but then it lists the design standards that we expect exist in all of the ASU Online courses. For us, our checklist includes the essential standards from Quality Matters, and then we have a few that are specific to our model. It also lists best practices for teaching online. So this is a great document to have because you can quickly share it with faculty, you can communicate it, you can modify it. It's really easy to just get hit the ground running and share what are those expectations and get the approval. And I'd recommend passing this up through whatever, deans or whatever department that you might need, whatever your expectations are. They just need to be clearly understood, articulated, and then communicated. So the next, we have the instructional design support I mentioned earlier. We've developed a few different documents, and the purpose of these is really to communicate the role of an instructional designer, because that role varies among institutions. Even at ASU, some of the instructional designers do different things. So we created these because we realized that for most instructors, the role is new to them. Sometimes they have misperceptions as far as whether we're police or what we're doing. And so creating documents like this kind of communicates, oh, here are the ways that your instructional designer can assist you, or here are the services that are available. So whatever you create for your institution can be really helpful to kind of get the word out as far as who's available to assist. Next, we also have this ASU Online Faculty Center, and this is housed in our Learning Management System Canvas. And all faculty, as soon as we identify them as teaching or developing an online ASU Online course, then they are enrolled in this. They're kind of notified of what it is. It includes a little orientation module that it takes like 30 minutes to go through this, but it walks through the different services and resources that are available to assist them. It pulls in like information about the librarians and the Disability Resource Center and the tutoring services, and some of those resources that sometimes might be buried in other places on the university website, but this makes it one place for them to be able to go and quickly know, oh, this is the librarian's link, and this is how they might help me. So it kind of communicates, again, those services that are available. We also have discussion forums for faculty. And these are really created to give them an opportunity to share their challenges or tips with each other as it relates to these different teaching practices online. Faculty often have questions about how do you create a presence online, or how do you build community, or how do you approach cheating in online courses. So this gives them a place to be able to go. We moderate these. They're always open. So sometimes they're quiet for a while, and then other times, faculty are in there. But this provides them an opportunity to discuss what they're interested in. And then we have these 10 minutes for excellence self-paced modules. And these are just 10-minute little modules on different best practices related to teaching online. We try to keep these up to date by adding in articles and research that promotes these best practices. We also partner with some of our other services at the university. For example, the librarians have worked with us to create one on fair use and copyright, as well as one for academic integrity. So they can be really helpful. And then last, we have this masterclass for teaching online workshop. This is asynchronous. It's offered during a 2-week time frame, and our instructional design team teaches this. It's really meant to be an opportunity for faculty to share strategies and ideas related to teaching online. So it shows them a course that meets all of the Quality Matters design standards. It integrates the technologies that we have licensed at our institution so that they can kind of see, oh, that's how it works. And then it also puts them in a opportunity to know what it's like to be a student, which is a really important perspective when you're going to teach online. So these are some of those key resources that we communicate to faculty and that we always have access to. And so for us, those are some of the resources we think about as we're trying to make modifications. So as we think about course health indicators, so if we had a tile that represented a course, and I mentioned before that we have over 1,500 online courses every session. So if we had all of these tiles spread out, and we had to identify, okay, which of these courses do we want to prioritize for course revisions? We might look at different course health indicators. And those course health indicators, we'll kind of get into more specifics, but they may come from different areas. And it's not going to be as easy as just creating a report, pulling everything in, and then running with it. Although it might, depending on the number of data points that you're able to access. But for us, we use some people give us information about courses, forms, reports, surveys. Sometimes the learning management system data can be helpful, and then there's other course data. And so we're going to get into the specifics of what that is. But as we continue here, again, at ASU Online, we refer to it as a 360-degree course review, because ideally, each of these different data points gives us insight into the health of a course that may be different. So, for example, we look at the pass rate. So if the pass rate is significantly less than average, then the course will be placed on our course review schedule. If the withdrawal rate is higher than average, it will be placed on that. Course evaluations, and I'll show you a little bit more about that soon. These stop drops are also really helpful. Those are particular courses in those programs that students not only drop, but they actually withdraw from the university. So we don't want courses to have those of high numbers. So if a course becomes one that, wow, every time students take this, they are actually leaving the university, or they're dropping the program. So that definitely gives you insight. And then the program leads. And these program leads we have are at the individual departments, because every department, as I mentioned, does the hiring for faculty, and we're here to kind of assist them. So the program leads often know that background information of what's going on in the courses. The instructional designer is on here because certainly they are working with faculty, they're looking at courses, their perspective can be really helpful. We also perform course readiness checks, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that soon, as well as the success coach service that we have. But student services and even social media sometimes can be a point to at least notify you of course concerns and things going on there. We have workshops, some faculty participate, others don't. And so if you think about all of these course health indicators, you couldn't point to one and say, oh, because this course has low pass rates, there's something terribly wrong with the course, because there's so many other items that it could be. But for us, our scope is really about design and facilitation. And so if there's any way that we can enhance or improve that course, then we want to keep that in mind. I mentioned before that when we have new course developments, we develop the course to hopefully meet all of those standards that we have on our checklist. However, again, with the number of courses we have, there are changes that are ongoing in some of those courses. And we have a process in place to help us make modifications ongoing. One of them is called course readiness checks. And about 3 weeks before the courses launch for the session, we email the instructor of record, whoever's going to teach the course, a list of this checklist. It's just like, have you checked your syllabus? Are the due dates accurate? Have you checked the links? However, again, with the number of courses we have, we know that inevitably courses will start the first day, and there will be some that have last semester's due dates in it, or something else will be broken. So we have a team of student worker ID assistants who review courses. They have a checklist, and this is a little screenshot from it. They're walking through the course, and each one of these columns is a different item that they're checking. There's about 24 items that they check. And then when they're doing this check, they're identifying if there's broken links or, and there's things going on in the background with this. This process really helps us a lot because we know that courses are often copied over the following semester. So with the number of courses we have, these checks are ongoing. As these ID assistants are reviewing courses, one of the columns is, does this course look like it really needs a review due to everything else you've seen in the course? And they mark that red, yellow, or green. And if they mark it red, then okay, it also goes on. It becomes a data point for us as far as, okay, this course has been determined that we should review it. So that's one course health indicator. I mentioned these success coaches. And so these success coaches for the fully online degree program students, they're a little bit different than an academic advisor, but they are there to kind of encourage students, be their life coach, help them throughout the program. And they often hear concerns about courses from students. So we have a form that the success coaches just fill out, and it asks about the details of the course, who the instructor is, and what the feedback is from the students. And then that information is really helpful for us because sometimes students will say, you know, I've been working on the project 6 for a long time, and I'm not hearing from my instructor, and I don't understand what the instructions are. So we can kind of take that information and then, reach out to the faculty on possible modifications to that. So the success coaching partnership we have is really helpful. You may not have success coaches, but there might be others at your institution that are like this, where if you create a forum and you communicate it with leadership there, they may be able to access that and pass along information, because it's really just trying to make it as transparent as we possibly can so that people know, hey, we're all working on the same thing. We have different roles here, but we're all, you know, hoping for the same thing. So for us, we have these success coaches. And then we have course evaluations, and course evaluations are very common in courses. For ASU, each department has their own questions that they ask. So we developed this condensed question block that appears for all of the online courses. This gives us an idea to, or a way to kind of compare the courses across the different departments to see which areas students are most happy with. And so you can see some of the questions on there. They're either related to the course and design, or they're related to the instructor. And these questions are directly related to the best practices for teaching online and some of those critical elements of course design that we promote throughout our quality assurance. We ask them, what do you like the most about the course? What do you like the least about the course? And then at the end of this session, when we get this information back, we're able to look at, there's an average column that kind of averages up those design responses. And for those courses that have a significantly less than average response on there, then those courses are added to our course review spreadsheet. So it's another course health indicator. So let's see, make sure I've talked about all of those different course health indicators. So there's a lot on there, and you might have different access points, or for some of these you may not have access to the information, but others you can. So you want to compile as much of it as you can. And for those that you can't, for example, maybe you don't get access to the pass rate. So you might enter in conversations to see if it's possible to get access to that, or course evals sometimes are locked down. You can, you know, have those conversations. You might have a win here and a loss there, but at least you have something to kind of help you. And the reason why this works, you know, it works really well for us because we don't have unlimited resources. You saw just that screen of our instructional design and new media team. You know, even if you have one or two people, it's still kind of the same types of questions that need to be, you know, discussed. So we review the courses. We're again looking at the Quality Matters design standards, and then we identify recommendations. So we have a spreadsheet here, and I'm not going to get into the details of the screenshot here, but I did take a screenshot that pulls, it shows the course information, the instructor, our program lead, did they complete the master class, why the course was flagged, was it due to low pass rates, low course eval, success coaches, and then whoever the instructional designer is. There's also these comment boxes over here that appear, and then we indicate the pass rate, withdrawal rate, fail rate, number of students that were enrolled, and then these columns here are directly related to the course evaluations. So if there's a flag there, that means students rated that item significantly less than average. And I'd love to say that I just flip a switch and all of this is pulled in here, but that's really not the case. I actually pull different reports, and so depending on what data you have available, you'll be able to pull this in. And then the instructional designer, when they pull up the course, they look at everything that's in here, but ultimately they have to pull up the course and determine what recommendations to suggest. So they identify whether it's red, green, or yellow. And that's just if it's meeting all the Quality Matters design standards, it's green. If it's missing one or two, it's yellow, and then 3 or more is red. And then these other columns are just to help us identify, okay, did we identify a design recommendation? Who's going to reach out? Is it going to be myself? Or is it going to be the instructional designer? And then we share these with the program leads and the faculty in a very diplomatically worded email that's really about course enhancement support. So when you're reaching out to faculty, it's really important to communicate that we've identified some course enhancement opportunities. If you're interested in these, please let us know. If not, let us know how we can help. We're always here to assist you. And if you go at it with that approach, that's how you're going to get a lot further, because you don't want to come and say, oh, your course doesn't have learning objectives and doesn't have this and doesn't have this. And we've, most of us have probably taken the Quality Matters training that talks about providing a helpful recommendation. And you really want to have that relationship, that rapport with faculty to share, hey, we've identified some ideas, here they are. We share them with the faculty, or we might invite faculty to different workshops that we provide on teaching online. And then there's a dashboard that the department leads also get access to, so they can see what we're doing. And this opens up pathways and conversations in those individual departments. We want what we're doing to be transparent and healthy so that faculty know about what we're doing. And so with that, that was kind of a lot of stuff in there.
We did get a couple of questions, Kody.
Yeah.
I think we probably have a few minutes of time for them. Tara asks, is it possible to have that faculty expectations document shared?
Yes, sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I can put that in the comments. I'll just put the direct link in that.
Okay, Karen asked, is the instructional designer sheet available as Creative Commons to rework for other academic institutions?
It's been publicly shared. I'm not sure that it's in Creative Commons. I know that it's been used and modified because I've seen other institutions take it and kind of make it their own. And that's, whatever they're doing. But I'll share a link to that as well. And then, yeah, that's not a problem. People can take it and use. I mean, that's what the purpose of sharing this information is. So let me see if I can stop sharing this now. And yeah, I'll put in the comments over here the link to those two documents so people have that.
Okay, and there's one more. How do faculty respond to receiving news that their course scores poorly on course health indicators? Do you get any pushback? And if so, how do you approach that?
Oh, that's a great question. So we've been doing this about 3 years, and the first time we sent out the communications. We mentioned that we review courses if they're flagged due to these course health indicators. And most of the faculty were actually very positive about it. However, we quickly realized, okay, we don't necessarily need to be mentioning that piece of it. And so the way we communicate it is every session we review about 10% of our online courses. And that's what about 10% of the courses are flagged each session. And so communicating that as, hey, we're reviewing 10% of online courses, we've identified these, and it's really about how you word it. We share it as course enhancement support in the subject line. And we say, again, each recommendation usually starts with the word, consider this, consider adding these, here's a link to it. If you're interested in this, we can discuss it more, or let me know how I can help.
All right, that looks like all of the questions that we had. Thank you so much, Kody, and really appreciate it. I'm going to remind everyone that there is a session survey link in the chat if you want to go ahead and put in a survey for this wonderful session that Kody has shared. And I'm going to stop the recording now.
All right. Thank you so much.